Hasta καλά.
Makote. Kalimera σας. Good day. Hello. I've got very good news for you today. I'm going to speak in English, which means that you'll be able to understand me for once. Τα ελληνικά μου είναι χάλια. That's my company, FELIX, BNI. It's a brand strategy consultancy. It's based here in Athens, but I work around the world. I grew up in South Africa. I worked there. I went to Hong Kong. I worked there for a couple of years. I came to Greece. I was the CEO of McCann Erickson here. I then went to Mexico, and I finally landed up in New York, where I was worldwide client services director for McCann Erickson worldwide. And the account I ran there was the Coca-Cola advertising account. I then joined TBWA, famous ad agency TBWA, started by a Greek, by the way, Bill Tragos, Vasilis Tragos, από Kalamata. And there I worked on brands such as Absolute, the relaunch of Apple computers, and various other things. I came back to Greece and started this company. Today, I'm going to talk to you about how branding has changed, how marketing has changed, because the world has changed. New technologies, new behaviors, and I really do feel that the world today is very, very different to the world in which I studied marketing. Can anybody tell me what that sound is? Να έχουμε λίγο ήχο. Harley Davidson, right? Unmistakable sound. And it's part of what that brand is all about. Now just imagine that this, what's this sound? Souvlaki? That's the new Harley Davidson. It's electric. It's electric. Now imagine that this is your brand user image, and all of a sudden, you lose that sound. And these are the kind of guys who are riding your bike. You got a bit of a brand issue. You got a bit of a brand issue. But if you don't go electric, you might go out of business in today's world. If you're Vespa, that's fine. Vespa is a far more sensitive brand. You almost expect Vespa to be electric. And indeed, that's the new Vespa Electric. And what they say about it is a contemporary work of art with a caring technological heart. Now, your Harley-Davidson biker doesn't give a damn about that. Ferrari. 2 years ago, they asked the CEO of Ferrari when he would launch an electric car. Here's his answer. You'll have to shoot me first. They asked him again in February of 2018. Here's his answer. If there is an electric supercar to be built, then Ferrari will be the first. 2 years. And he changed his mind completely. This car, by the way, is codenamed Millennial. Guess why? Guess why? Who moved my cheese is the question that people in various industries are asking themselves. And that depends on which industry you're in. Do you remember Kodak? They disappeared. They invented the digital camera. But the CEO at the time said, hide that thing away, it'll put us out of business. Well, it did put them out of business. From Fuji. The movie business. Netflix is changing the movie business radically. Airbnb, 2 young kids in San Francisco had a spare room in their apartment. They bought some air mattresses and started to rent out that room to make some extra money. Today, Airbnb is the world's largest hospitality company, and they don't own a single property. Could Hilton Hotels have done an Airbnb? Of course they could have. Would they dare to do it? No way. Motor cars. Google, Apple, and a whole bunch of tech companies are working on self-drive electric vehicles. Mercedes-Benz is not there. The American car giants are not there. We're living under the volcano. We're living under the volcano. There's a fascinating piece of research done 2 years ago where they researched CEOs across industries. 50% of CEOs across industries expect there to be major change over the next 2 years. They're all expecting it. And here's the problem. Today's environment is volatile, it's unpredictable. 2 kids wake up one day in San Francisco and launch something called Airbnb. It's volatile, it's unpredictable. Change erupts. We used to speak about disruption. Forget about it. It's eruption. And business needs to respond fast. There are 2 forces of change happening at the same time. On the one side, there's technology, and on the other side, there's behavior. I like to speak about technology and anthropology, how stuff works and how people work. And we in fact need techno-anthropology, which is how stuff works for people. This kind of world needs agility. The problem is that building a brand needs consistency. So how do you reconcile these things? It's a huge dilemma, massive dilemma. What the fuck happened to my job? What the hell happened to my job? And I see people across the industry, marketing, advertising, asking themselves this question. And by the way, it hasn't changed yet, it's still changing. Every day it changes. As we speak, it is changing. This is really interesting. Piece of research done by the Bank of America, 2017. The most important thing in my life. Number 1, the smartphone. Number 2, my toothbrush. Number 3, deodorant. So we got smelly, connected people. No signal. No signal. It's not working. No signal. It's not working. This is the new TV. You are no longer who you say you are. You are who people tell each other you are. And I love what Tony Hsieh had to say. Tony Hsieh is the guy behind Zappos shoes. He says, our job is to turn customers into our marketing department. We've got to do the kind of things that will get people to say the kind of things that we want them to say about us. In other words, we've got to give them amazing experiences. Turn your customers into your marketing department. And let's never forget that. If you want people to talk about you, do things that people will like talking about. I don't go onto Facebook and say, I had an okay lunch. That's boring. I talk about an amazingly good lunch or an amazingly bad lunch. It gets likes. Okay stuff is nothing. Like that. This guy is one of the first guys to get the new iPhone. He's a very happy man. He goes home and he makes an unboxing video. Puts it online, and before he knows it, he's got 13.5 million views. He's marketing Apple. He's marketing Apple. He's the marketing department. I woke up one morning. It was 5:30. I looked at my watch, and I suddenly realized that an airplane to catch at 6:30, and I started rushing. And I said to myself, Peter, there's no way you're going to make it. Sat down on the bed, and I did what I was dreading I had to do. I phoned the airport to speak to somebody to sort out my issue. And I got on the phone, and this incredible person comes on the other side of the phone. And she says to me, "Don't worry, Mr. Economides. I know exactly how you feel. I know exactly how you feel. Go back to sleep for another 2 hours. I'll wake you up with a solution." And I went, wow, wow. Give me 2,000 people like that, and I've got the best airline in the world. I know how you feel, she said to me. Remarkable. Let me tell you a story. This guy over here, this happened 10 years ago, second-rate Canadian country and western singer, a guy called Dave Carroll. He flew on United Airlines, and they broke his guitar. He made a claim for $3,300, I believe it was. They messed him around for a year. A year later, they said, "Sorry, we're not paying you," for whatever reason they had. So what does he do? He makes a video.
I flew United Airlines on my way to Nebraska. The plane departed Halifax, connecting in Chicago's O'Hare. While on the ground, a passenger said from the seat behind me, "My God, they're throwing guitars out there." The band and I exchanged a look, best described as terror, at the action on the tarmac, and knowing whose projectiles these would be. So before I left Chicago, I alerted 3 employees who showed complete indifference towards me. United, United, you broke my Taylor guitar. United, United, some big help you are. You broke it, you should fix it. You're liable, just admit it. I should have flown with someone else or gone by car. 'Cause United breaks guitars.
I should have flown with someone else or gone by car, because United breaks guitars. Within a week on YouTube, he's got 20 million views. It's picked up by CNN, CBS, NBC, ABC, and every other network. It becomes the #1 country and western song on iTunes. He publishes a book called United Breaks Guitars, which is all about customer service, by the way. And within 4 days of the song going online, the gathering thunderclouds of bad PR caused United Airlines stock price to suffer a mid-flight stall, and it plunged by 10%, costing shareholders $180 million, which incidentally would have bought Carroll more than 51,000 replacement guitars. Wow. Wow. And that's their slogan, "Fly the friendly skies." Last year, they did it again, but this time was a lot more serious.
Hey, come on. Come on.
Can't the pilots drive to Louisville? Can't they rent a car for the pilots and have them drive? Oh my God! Oh my God! Oh my God! No! Guys, my God! What are you doing? No, this is wrong! Oh my God! look at what you did to him! Oh my God!
You know, every time I see this video, it makes me mad, right? And they apologize for the overbooked situation, not for what they did to that person. And their slogan is, "Fly the friendly skies." Now, 20 years ago, that might have happened, nobody would have known. Maybe 200 passengers on the aircraft. Today, the whole world found out about it. Their share price dropped this time by 1.8 billion. Clearly, there's something wrong. Clearly. Wow. 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 And here's the issue. We need to create millions of wows. Millions of wows. But the right kind of wows. Aristotle said this: you are what you consistently do. Excellence is not an act, but a habit. And Aristotle spoke about three things: ethos, logos, pathos. Ethos is about consistency. Logos is about agility. Pathos is about wow. Aristotle spoke about all this stuff way back then. Brand rhetoric is what I like to call this. Brand. I was taught that brand worked something like this. You got a product, and then you create added value with a fancy name and a good logo and some clever packaging and some promotion, fly the friendly skies. But I've realized that all of that has changed. Brand is not added value. Brand is fundamental, foundational value. It's about a belief system, it's about values, it's about a manifesto, it's about narrative, it's about culture. And around that, you do stuff. But you've got a foundation which is solid, it's cultural. That gives you cultural consistency and operational agility. That's exactly what the world needs today. It's not about coming up with smart products and giving them added value and creating love brands. It's about a foundation which is solid, and it's based on real stuff that means things to people. Apple, best example I can think of. Multiple transactions over time is the result of this. I own every single one of those iMacs, and I can't wait for the next one to come out. Multiple transactions across categories. I've got an iMac, I've got an iPod, use iTunes, I've got an iPhone, use the App Store, I've got an iPad, I use iCloud, I've got an Apple TV, I've got a watch, I use Apple Pay, and if they launch a refrigerator, I'm buying it. And if they launch a motor car, we'll all go and see it. That's a very powerful brand, very powerful. Now, you can't sell that kind of brand in that kind of space. And I think the most significant thing that Apple did was this, the Apple stores. The most significant thing. Because inside there, they made the brand values come alive by touching consumers, by turning consumers into their marketing department. That other environment does not create your marketing department. This environment does. So you got staff. You got the Genius Bar, specialized advice and consultation. Any question you like, go and ask, and the guy's got answers for you. Consumer engagement through seminars, through lectures on new software, better ways of doing things. And the result of all of that is wow. Lots and lots of wows. Because they've created the theater for wow. They have designed the experience to create wow. Let's see how we get towards this kind of position. The first and most important thing I've learned, we need to think of business as a social ecosystem. The business of business, I like to say, is profit. But business at the end of the day is social activity. It holds people together. So a model that I like to work with, and this of course changes according to the industry I'm dealing with, on the outside ring, I've got all the audiences that we need to embrace, not to speak to embrace. And then we've got in the middle our people, and we have to connect this whole ecosystem together. And we do it through a shared belief and value system, a manifesto, a narrative, which connects. By the way, this is not a terribly new idea. Avis, back in the 60s, brilliant stuff. I want to read this to you. Avis needs you. You don't need Avis. Avis never forgets this. We're still a little hungry. We're only number 2 in rent-a-cars. Customers aren't a dime a dozen to us. Sometimes when business is too good, they get the short end and aren't treated like customers anymore. Wouldn't you like the novel experience of walking up to a counter and not feel you're bothering somebody? Try it. Come to the Avis counter and rent a new Ford. Avis is only number 2 in rent-a-cars, so we have to try harder to make our customers feel like customers. Our counters all have 2 sides, and we know which side our bread is buttered on. That is brilliant. It connects people inside the organization with people outside the organization. It establishes guidelines for behavior. It establishes external expectation. It creates human connection. We try harder. Simple stuff. I guess you've seen this video by Simon Sinek. If you haven't, I strongly suggest that you look at it. He talks about the golden circle. He says everybody knows what they do. That's easy. Some people can tell you how they do it. Very few can describe why they do it, their purpose. And he says that's the most important thing. Start with why. Find your greatness. That's a very powerful why. Nike. The best or nothing. That's another powerful why. Mercedes-Benz. Think different. Apple. Very powerful. Why? Starbucks. When we are fully engaged, we connect with, laugh with, and uplift the lives of our customers, even if just for a few moments. Sure, it starts with the promise of a perfectly made beverage, but our work goes far beyond that. It's rarely about human connection. The next thing that I've learned, great brands inspire. I've seen so many vision, mission, value statements in my life. I get sick of seeing them, sitting on boardroom walls. They've paid a lot of money to get those things crafted. They don't mean anything. Make brand come alive in a way that everybody gets it and feels motivated and connected through it. Example.
Here's to the crazy ones, the misfits, the rebels, the troublemakers, the round pegs in the square holes, the ones who see things differently. They're not fond of rules, and they have no respect for the status quo. You can quote them, disagree with them, glorify or vilify them, but the only thing you can't do is ignore them. Because they change things. They push the human race forward. And while some may see them as the crazy ones, we see genius. Because the people who are crazy enough to think they can change the world are the ones who do.
By the way, I just want to make a point over here. Powerful manifestos are not clever manifestos. They are authentic manifestos. They are fundamentally true. And the brands that make statements like that must be able to support them with their DNA and with their action. Otherwise, they become rubbish. I am sick and tired of seeing clever lines on advertising. I'm tired of it. They've got to be true, fundamentally true. Look at this one. I love this. This is Nike. Find your greatness. Somehow we've come to believe that greatness is only for the chosen few, for the superstars. The truth is, greatness is for us all. This is not about lowering expectations. It's about raising them for every last one of us. Greatness is not in one special place, and it's not in one special person. Greatness is wherever somebody is trying to find it. I get it. I get it. It's authentic. It's meaningful. This is one of the finest manifestos I've ever seen, and one of the shortest. This is written inside the podia, the aprons that guys at baristas at Starbucks wear. And here's what it says. We create inspired moments in each customer's day. Anticipate, connect, personalize, own. It does not say we make great coffee. It's not about the coffee. Google. You don't see Google advertising. If anybody's been to Googleplex, you'll understand what a powerful manifestation of the brand it is. Everything that that brand stands for is represented in that building. You get it. This is something I did a couple of weeks ago, actually, for a renal care center, a global renal care center based in Sweden. Care, true care for life. Life-enhancing renal care for body, mind, and soul, with passion and inspiration, empowering patients, their friends, and family, because everyone deserves a fulfilling life. Okay, so you've got your manifesto. You've got a powerful belief value system. You've got a manifesto. You've got a narrative, okay? It's got to be shared. It must be shared. This guy over here is celebrating victory. It's that beautiful moment when he's won the race. It needs technology. It needs a really good driver. But without these guys, that race cannot be won. Impossible. Watch this video. .98 seconds. In Athens, it takes 1.98 weeks. But they will do that consistently. Excellence is not an act, it's a habit. They will do that consistently. When me becomes we, everything becomes possible. That is absolutely critical. That is absolutely vital. This is a piece of DNA strand that I did for a client of mine in Holland. That DNA strand's got every single person who works inside that organization. The owner's face is also there. And what we did at the launch event for this brand is that we distributed posters at random where just one picture was big. And these were distributed at random. And I asked people to please find the guy on the poster they had and give him his poster. What happened through that was a conversation around the brand, around the belief system. Bill Tragos, the crazy Greek, the guy who started TBWA, I love that guy. He always used to say, we have to hire swans. And let me explain that. Smart, workaholic, ambitious, nice. And he always used to say to me, don't compromise on the nice. If you're going to create a powerful team, you need nice people. If you're going to give exceptional customer service, you need nice people who understand how other people feel. It's simple stuff, actually. The B2B fallacy. I can't stand it when I hear, but we're in B2B. I can't stand that. Businesses do not sell to businesses. People inside corporations sell to other people inside corporations. It's P2P, all of it. The C-suite doesn't care. Of course they care. Ask new questions. Put on your crazy hat. Think of impossible things. Be like Walt Disney. Imagineer. Think about amazing things that you can do. And if you can't do them, bring them back to reality. Don't start from what you can do, because you'll never think anywhere. Start with what you can't do, and then make it doable. Think simple. Steve Jobs always used to say, simple can be harder than complex. And it is, much harder. You have to work hard to get your thinking clean to make it simple. But it's worth it in the end, because once you get there, you can move mountains. I just want to describe to you very quickly the brand model that I work with. It's terribly simple. 3 elements: ambition, DNA, and market insight. On the ambition side, it's like asking a kid, what do you want to be when you grow up? On the DNA side, can you do it? Do you have the DNA to do it? What skills do you need to build in order to do that? And on the top is market insight. Does anybody really care? And when those 3 things come together and you find what I call the sweet spot in the middle, you've got something powerful. Does anybody here play tennis? You'll understand the power of the sweet spot. When you hit the racket on the sweet spot, that ball goes exactly where you want it to go. You play tennis, right? And it feels good, yeah? So once you find it, hit it consistently with everything you do and don't do, and say and don't say, because everything communicates. Tony Hsieh always says, every phone call is a chance to build brand. So you got the sweet spot, your belief, your value system, your manifesto, your narrative, which on the one side guides internal culture. On the other side, it creates external expectation. Experience design strategy, design as many experiences as you can. The Apple Store is a great example. Starbucks, writing your name on the cup. There's technology to replace that, for God's sake. That's personal. It's cool. It says, hey, he knows my name. It forces people to ask other people their name. It connects people. And when you've got that, you create alignment, you create human connection, you create loyalty, and you create sustainable growth. Just like Avis, Starbucks, Apple. Agility and consistency. When I studied marketing, I always thought that my job would be a bit like this, that I'd be the conductor of an orchestra, and we'd have a piece of music in front, and everybody would play their thing, and of course I'd be the guy conducting everything, right? I've realized how wrong this is. There's no script. There's no music score. It's jazz. It's jazz. You never play the same song in the same way. You can't. No way. But it's always unmistakably yours. Agility, consistency. Your way. You have to know your music very well, but you have to let go of everything you know. Marketing is like jazz. One last thing. I was interviewed by some guy from Süddeutsche Zeitung, and he asked me this question. He said to me, "Are Greeks Europeans?" And I said, "What on earth is this guy asking me?" And then I realized that what he was actually asking me was that, what role do we play in the modern world? Here's my answer. We'll never be good Germans. But we must become exceptional Greeks. And it got me thinking, what's an exceptional Greek? On the one side, we've got hard skills. On the other side, we've got soft skills. And all the stuff I've been talking about is soft skills. It's all about that. That doesn't mean you don't need to know the hard skills, but it's about the soft skills that are the big differentiators in today's world. And look at what we got in our language. Words which are not just sounds, they are philosophy. They are a way of living. Philotimo, philoxenia, meraki, metro, anthropia, ethos, kefi. And my favorite word of all, entheos. If you're English, if you don't understand that sound enthusiasm, you have no idea what the word means. If you're Greek, you understand. It's God inside, which I think is the most amazing word. I really believe this. There's never been a better time to be Greek. But it's time to be Greek. I want to thank the organizers very much for having me here today. It's really been a great pleasure, and thank you very much indeed.